Disney lost. And this time, it wasn't a symbolic or debatable defeat. It was clear, direct, and frankly, a bit embarrassing. K-pop. Demon Hunters, the latest release from Sony Pictures Animation, demonstrated exactly what can happen when a major studio embraces originality, bold visual style, and emotionally grounded characters, everything Disney has been avoiding for years. The contrast is impossible to ignore. While Disney seems stuck on autopilot, recycling tired formulas, churning out uninspired sequels, and forcing live-action remakes that rely too heavily on nostalgia, Sony delivers something fresh, a story with its own voice that blends genres, aesthetics, and themes without fear of standing out. And that creative risk paid off. K-pop, Demon Hunters isn't just a creative win, it's a powerful statement of narrative independence. The premise itself is already bold. South Korean idols who not only dominate the stage with their music but also fight demons in battles where art becomes their weapon. It could easily have come across as something shallow or purely stylistic, but the film takes it further. The story treats its themes with weight and intention, exploring identity, exclusion, social pressure, unresolved trauma, and the need for belonging. These ideas are brought to life through characters that feel real, far from flawless. They confront their own struggles without losing sight of who they are. Rummy, the main character, is the clearest example of this approach. Born from a forbidden union between a human and a demon, she hides her true identity to fit the polished image expected of a pop idol. But when the truth comes out, there's no empathy. She's exposed, betrayed, and publicly humiliated. Instead of lashing out or trying to defend herself, Rummy turns inward, processes her pain, and transforms it into a performance. It's through a song about self-acceptance that she takes back control, not just for herself, but for the entire world around her. This kind of emotional storytelling, driven by real internal struggles, is exactly what's been missing from Disney's recent output. Not because the studio has lost its technical skill, far from it, but because it's stopped taking creative risks. These days, Disney plays it safe with predictable plots and carefully engineered protagonists designed to appeal to the widest possible audience, often at the cost of emotional depth. Meanwhile, K-pop, Demon Hunters delivers a bold and distinctive visual style that blends anime influences, K-pop aesthetics, and digital culture in a seamless, cohesive way. Nothing feels out of place or done for style alone. Every visual choice serves the story. The vibrant colors, expressive framing, and exaggerated designs aren't just eye-catching, they're part of the narrative language. The film builds a visually coherent and creatively liberated world that doesn't hold back for fear of being too young or too stylized. It resonates with today's audience because it reflects the media they already engage with every day. The action scenes are another major highlight, meticulously directed, with choreography that balances visual spectacle and clarity. The battles are dynamic, emotionally charged, and always tied to character development. Nothing feels excessive or disconnected. Everything carries emotional weight. Even the antagonist, Jinwoo, a demon posing as a K-pop idol, is given depth. Once human, his backstory reveals a tragic arc that reinforces the film's core theme, the tension between who we truly are and who we're expected to be. And this is exactly where Disney has been falling short. In recent years, the studio has shifted its focus from developing characters with real, personal struggles to delivering pre-packaged messages. Stories are often shaped to appear representative or inspirational, but without real depth. Most protagonists are rarely allowed to fail, make mistakes, or show genuine vulnerability. K-pop, Demon Hunters takes the opposite approach. Every character is flawed. They stumble, they doubt themselves, they feel shame and fear. And that's what makes them relatable, grounded, and human. Another standout element is how the film uses music. The songs aren't just there to fill space or create catchy moments. They're fully integrated into the storytelling. They serve a narrative function, turning emotions into action and giving voice to inner conflict. The track Shine, for instance, isn't just a musical highlight. It marks the turning point for the main character, the moment she reclaims her identity in front of the world. It's the emotional climax of the film, and that kind of integration between story and music is increasingly rare in today's animation. Yes, the film has humor. It's fast-paced, stylish, and energetic. But none of that gets in the way of the drama. Nothing distracts from what matters most, telling a new story with a clear, authentic voice. That's the key difference. K-pop Demon Hunters isn't designed to please everyone, it's crafted to stand out. And it does, with more impact than any recent Disney release. What stands out most in K-pop Demon Hunters is how deeply it understands pop culture, not as a surface-level aesthetic, but as a structural part of the story. K-pop isn't used just to sell a soundtrack or stage flashy dance numbers. It's embedded in the world, in the characters' struggles, and in the decisions they're forced to make. The lights, the costumes, the performances, the fans, the online commentary, everything has real narrative weight. The film doesn't present idol culture as a glamorous fantasy. It's portrayed as relentless pressure for perfection, a space where mistakes aren't tolerated and showing any vulnerability in public can be career-ending. Rummy, the protagonist, doesn't hide her demonic features out of vanity. She hides them because she's learned that revealing any flaw could bring everything crashing down. And when her truth is exposed, the public reaction is harsh and unforgiving. There's no empathy. She's seen as damaged and therefore disposable. That, too, is part of pop culture. It's the side most stories avoid, but this film confronts it head-on, without softening the impact. What stands out most in K-pop Demon Hunters is how deeply it understands pop culture, not as a surface-level aesthetic, but as a structural part of the story. K-pop isn't used just to sell a soundtrack or stage flashy dance numbers. It's embedded in the world, in the characters' struggles, and in the decisions they're forced to make. The lights, the costumes, the performances, the fans, the online commentary, everything has real narrative weight. The film doesn't present idol culture as a glamorous fantasy. It's portrayed as relentless pressure for perfection, a space where mistakes aren't tolerated and showing any vulnerability in public can be career-ending. Rummy, the protagonist, doesn't hide her demonic features out of vanity. She hides them because she's learned that revealing any flaw could bring everything crashing down. And when her truth is exposed, the public reaction is harsh and unforgiving. There's no empathy. She's seen as damaged and therefore disposable. That, too, is part of pop culture. It's the side most stories avoid, but this film confronts it head-on, without softening the impact. More than anything, the film doesn't try to squeeze youth culture into an outdated mold. K-pop Demon Hunters speaks directly to the digital generation, those who live online, who grew up with anime, TikTok, boy bands, doramas, emojis, and rapid-fire editing. Its visual language, energetic pacing, saturated colors, and digital references aren't superficial add-ons. They feel natural, authentic, and most importantly, they're taken seriously. There's no irony here, no attempt to look cool through forced trends. The film understands that pop culture isn't shallow, it's identity, it's community, it's emotional survival for millions. And it treats that with respect. This authenticity extends to how the film handles emotion. Unlike many Disney movies that rely on a formula, a sad scene, a slow song, a flashback, and a tear-jerking quote, here the emotional impact is earned through careful storytelling. Rummy's pain isn't generic. It has context. You understand why she hides, why she fears being seen, and why guilt eats away at her. So when she finally confronts the world and turns her story into a song, you don't cry because the tune is sad. You cry because it comes from something real. It's the release of truth, not manipulation. The film doesn't rely on shocking deaths or cartoonish villains to create drama. What moves the story forward is its honesty, the way it explores relationships, emotional fractures, and the inner battles of its characters. You feel with them, not because the film demands it, but because it earns it. Even Jinwoo, who begins as the antagonist, has moments of hesitation that sting, because he, too, is trapped in a role he never chose. K-pop Demon Hunters succeeds because it takes its audience seriously. It doesn't simplify emotions or use pop culture as decoration. It treats everything with authenticity. The emotion isn't manufactured, it's earned through real context and character development. This is a film that proves entertainment and emotional depth can coexist, that you can cheer for a performance and feel a lump in your throat in the same moment. True impact doesn't come from what's calculated, it comes from what's honest. Disney's current issue isn't technical, it's creative. While Sony moves forward with fresh ideas, Disney keeps relying on the same formulas, hoping nostalgia will continue to carry its legacy. But the audience has changed, and storytellers need to evolve with them. Disney still has talent, scale, and reach, but it needs to break away from the predictable framework that's shaped its recent productions. It needs to make space for original screenwriters, bold directors, and stories that aren't engineered to please everyone. Playing it safe no longer works, and audiences have started to notice. K-pop, Demon Hunters is a clear example of this shift, a film that doesn't try to copy trends but builds its own identity with confidence. It doesn't aim to be for everyone, it aims to be real. And that's why it resonates, because it has a voice, a vision, and the courage to stand on its own. While Disney clings to the past to protect its crown, Sony is already laying the foundation for what's next in animation. And that future begins with 3 girls on stage, a powerful song, and a quiet but unmistakable statement: creative freedom is the way forward. Disney didn't lose because of execution, it lost because it stopped evolving. K-pop, Demon Hunters proved that audiences are ready for more than recycled nostalgia. Originality beat formula, and the future belongs to those brave enough to break the pattern.